Hello, everyone, and welcome to Collective Motion, Dance.NYC's 5-year commitment to the field. We are honored, and I am personally moved to have all of you join us today as we share and activate the strategic plan that will guide Dance.NYC forward through the next 5 years. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Sarah Rohr. I use she, her pronouns, and I am Dance.NYC's interim executive director. I'm joining from occupied Lenape land, also known as Manhattan. I currently identify as an extroverted, non-disabled, cisgender, white queer femme. My Zoom screen shows my winter pale face with a dark purple lip and the top of a V-neck black blouse with unnaturally pixelated magenta and blue flowers. My short, heavily salted and lightly peppered hair is quite curly on this humid day and has a few pink streaks visible, and I'm adorned with a shiny black stone pendant and wavy pink earrings. Behind me is a generic white office storage wall with some Dance.NYC posters along the bottom edge. Throughout this call, we will be using presentation slides. The format of the slides includes some title slides, which will be an orange background with large white text, some introduction slides, like the one that's up now, with a white background and dark blue text, and some content slides that are white background with dark blue headings and black text underneath. Images and other visual content will be described when we arrive at those moments, and each of our guests will also provide a brief visual description, as I did, when they first enter the presentation. Please note we are recording today's call. If you have questions or concerns about that, do take a moment to direct message Nadia in the chat. And with that, I'll bring on Rithika Ashok, Dance.NYC's grant-making coordinator, who will detail a few more accessibility resources we have available.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rithika Ashok. I am the grant-making coordinator here at Dance.NYC. I use she, her pronouns and identify as non-disabled Indian American woman. I'm joining you in the Zoom room wearing a black long sleeve shirt. My long curly black hair is down and parted in the middle with black headphones over my ears. And I'm wearing gold hoop earrings and a gold chain with a small pendant. My virtual background is bright orange with Dance.NYC branding in white text. I've been at Dance.NYC for almost 2 years now, and in addition to the amazing work that we do here, I'm also furthering my personal artistry in New York City as an Indian classical dancer. Thank you all, and I'm so excited to be here today. For today, live captioning as well as ASL interpretation are available. Our ASL interpreters from Sign Nexus, Mike Barrios and Alyssa Santiago, will be spotlit for you throughout today's event. Our captioner is Francisco from the Viscardi Center. You can use the CC button at the bottom of your Zoom screen to view captions, and we've dropped the link in the chat to access the stream text transcript. Throughout today's call, we will also be sharing definitions for some organization and sector-specific language. These terms and their definitions will be shared in the chat. These terms will be available as part of a glossary, and a link to this glossary is now being shared in the chat. At the end of our time together, we will also be sharing a brief survey to gather your feedback on today's event. This survey is deeply valuable, and we appreciate your participation and responses. With that, I would now like to introduce Maya Seuss, Grant-Making Manager, who will facilitate our land acknowledgement.
Hello, amazing New York City arts community. My name is Maya Seuss. I am the new grant-making manager here at Dance.NYC. I use she, her pronouns, and I identify as a non-disabled, white, queer, cis femme woman. I'm joining you in this Zoom room wearing a cream-colored shirt. My wavy dark hair falls over my shoulders and curls on my forehead. I'm wearing leaf-shaped earrings made from different types of wood and a bright orange lip. I'm surrounded by Dance.NYC orange with our logo floating above my shoulder. I come to Dance.NYC after working as the grant-making manager at Artist Communities Alliance, supporting artists across disciplines through residency programs, and from being a performing and visual artist myself. And I'm thrilled to join this incredible team. Dance.NYC would like to recognize our country's history and its legacy in the space we occupy. Parts of this acknowledgement have been adapted with the guidance of Indigenous dance artist and activist Emily Johnson, who worked with Dance.NYC's land acknowledgement with our staff. It's iterative and may undergo revisions in the future as we learn from an expanding community of Indigenous artists. I would like to acknowledge that the city of New York is on stolen land, more specifically Lenape-Hoking, the unceded homeland of the Lenape people, who are also recognized federally in the United States as the Delaware Nation of Oklahoma in Anadarko, Oklahoma, the Delaware Tribe of Indians in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, the Stockbridge-Munsee community in Bowler, Wisconsin, and in Ontario, Canada, we acknowledge the Munsee Delaware Nation, the Moravian of the Thames First Nation, and the Delaware of Six Nations. We recognize that as an organization based in New York City, we have benefited from and continue to benefit from the systematic displacement and subsequent erasure of the Lenape people and their governance on their land. In parallel to this, we name openly that we and our communities are impacted by the legacies of the African slave trade, migration and immigration patterns, the disability rights and disability justice movements, and the LGBTQIA2S fight for justice. Please join me in taking a moment to recognize and reflect on the centuries of violence, displacement, forced migration, and settlement here, as well as the centuries of resilience and leadership of all Indigenous and First Nations peoples on Turtle Island that have led to our livelihoods here in New York City today. You can begin by supporting Lene Lenape Exquayok, a group of Lenape matriarchs from 5 of the federally recognized Lenape tribes who are working to increase Lenape presence in Lenape land, both immediately and long-term. Even if you cannot donate at this time, I urge you to bookmark their page as it's both beautiful and contains many educational resources. Before we move on to the rest of our day, let's together take a breath to be present with this history and future.
Thank you, Maya, and thank you, Rithika. As we move through today's event, we will be joined by members of Dance.NYC community, including past and present members of our staff and board, artists and partners, to explain and enliven this strategic plan. The current slide on screen outlines the 5 sections of today's gathering in dark blue text on white background. When we enter a new section of the agenda, this slide will return, and the section that we're in will be highlighted in dark blue with white text. So to begin, as you can see, we will activate by welcoming you all and introducing today's event, which we have done, by reviewing access resources, which we have done, and establishing community agreements, which we will do next. After that, we will refine by sharpening our new mission and Dance.NYC's theory of change, then grow by learning about Dance.NYC's history leading to the present, then amplify, introducing the strategic plan itself and engaging 3 of its 5 goals, then strengthen by wrapping up our time together with some reflection and forward momentum. To move us along, I'm delighted to bring to your screen Brenda Guha, Dance.NYC's Senior Producing Coordinator, and Kelly Aduse, former Executive Director of Dance USA, who will be rejoining us later as one of our presenters.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everybody. My name is Brenda Guha. My pronouns are she and her, and I am the Senior Producing Coordinator here at Dance.NYC, where I just celebrated my 6-year anniversary at this wonderful organization. I am a non-disabled, queer, cisgendered South Asian woman with dark hair, hazelnut skin, a brown sweater, and a black tank top with some gold jewelry. I am also a performing artist, choreographer, and educator, currently best known for my work with the percussive dance trio Souls of Duende. I am a bonus mother, a daughter of immigrants, and an administrator and producer serving the arts field through this organization of which I am also a proud constituent. I stand beside several staff members who hold this important duality with me. I will now pass the virtual mic over to Kelly to introduce herself. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Brenda. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Aduse, and I am the former executive director of Dance USA. I use she, her pronouns and identify as a non-disabled woman. I am a butterscotch-skinned Black woman with long, dark hair. And today I am wearing my signature red lip and a red turtleneck as I welcome fall. I am also wearing chrome-colored, thin-rimmed glasses and a grateful smile. While my background is blurred, I am standing in front of a light gray wall with framed paintings by my daughter hanging on the wall. They are colorful and abstract paintings in equally colorful frames. Back to you, Brenda.
Thank you, Kelly. So in today's convening, we will be guided by Dance.NYC's newly articulated statement of values. We will read part of each value statement out loud, alternating between Kelly and myself. Equity. Dance.NYC's practice of equity means working to close the gap in resources, recognition, and opportunities as an act of opposition to systemic, economic, racial, colorist, xenophobic, homophobic, transphobic, misogynist, and ableist inequity and inequality.
Integrity. Dance.NYC's practice of integrity is grounded in clarity and accountability to the communities served, prioritizing those most impacted by the organization's work.
Collaboration. Dance.NYC's practice of collaboration is grounded in the belief that our efforts are stronger when we integrate diverse perspectives, share skills and labor, and work in concert with others towards common goals.
Optimism. Dance.NYC's practice of optimism means that building a more just future is based on both the belief in a world not yet realized and the belief that our work will make progress towards that world. They embrace curiosity, learning, and critical thinking about the challenges that confront us. In reckoning with past and present inequities, Dance.NYC is fueled by creative problem solving, joy, and pragmatism.
We would be remiss not to reflect that in our current political and social climate, a commitment to these practices is a radical act. Amid shifting priorities and fiscal pressures, the national cultural infrastructure that once sustained arts and dance is under attack. In response, artists and arts service organizations like Dance.NYC are uniting through civic engagement and mutual support to uphold the arts as a public good and vital social infrastructure. Throughout today's convening, and as we look towards Dance.NYC's next 5 years, these values will be the underpinning of our time together. We also offer the following community agreements specific to our shared time on this Zoom. By participating in this event, you are entering a virtual space of learning and accountability based on tenets of justice, equity, access, and inclusion. This means that we agree to share our opinions respectfully and course correct if harm is caused. Honor everyone's humanity, not tolerate speech that is disparaging, abusive, or violent. And if anyone acts in violation of these guidelines, they will either be asked to course correct or be removed from the Zoom call. Thank you all for your collective agreement. And Kelly, I hand it back to you.
Thank you. We have received a lot of information already, so let's take a brief pause and check back into our breath. As we breathe in and exhale, I invite you to add to the chat which of the newly articulated values most align with your own personal core values. How are these being embodied in your own life? Again, those values are equity, integrity, collaboration, and optimism. As folks respond in the chat, we will see their responses from the chat appear in colorful rectangles on a Black background, and I will read some of them as they emerge. Oh, and the visual is not working, so let me go to the chat. Collaboration is always relevant and ever more important. Optimism and continuing. Oh goodness, you all are coming in. Equity is a priority, top priority for me. Optimism, yes, I love that one as well. As a member of Multi-Consensus Collective, ooh, did not catch all of that. Trying to work on optimism. I think optimism is the main takeaway right now. Thank you all for your thoughtful responses, and please continue populating the chat. Next, we are pleased to introduce Marissa Lewis of Penn Creative Strategy as we are moving into the next part of our agenda, which is Refine, New Mission, and Dance.NYC's Theory of Change.
Thank you, Kelly, and welcome again to all of you today. My name is Marissa Lewis, and I'm a senior consultant with Penn Creative Strategy. I'm a light-skinned Black woman with curly hair. I'm wearing blue glasses and a Black sweater. I'm sitting in front of a Zoom background that is a white office room with a room screen, trailing plants hanging over it, and there's a green easy chair sort of over my shoulder. Penn Creative Strategy designed and facilitated Dance.NYC's strategic planning process. Rooted in deep and continuous stakeholder engagement, internal participants, including many of you, took part in interviews, surveys, focus groups, and retreats. External input from funders, peer service organizations, and dance field leaders, also many of you, was brought into the process to ensure the plan would reflect the needs of the sector. It has been more than 10 years since Dance.NYC engaged in a strategic planning process. Their last effort paved the way for Dance.NYC to become its own independent organization. This year's strategic planning process has been a tool to assess where Dance.NYC is going and also to articulate who Dance.NYC has become in that time. In this process, Dance.NYC has also rearticulated its organizational focus areas to more clearly serve the mission, values, and core goals of the strategic plan. The previous focus areas were action-oriented research, advocacy, leadership training, networking, and convening, dance service technology and visibility, and regranting. The newly refined areas of organizational focus are research, advocacy, regranting, and knowledge sharing. It was a joy. It was such a joy to work with Dance.NYC on this strategic planning process. I was particularly struck by the inclusivity of the process, including the voices of many of you on this call today, as well as Dance.NYC's orientation toward evaluating the organization at all levels, including their values, vision, and mission. I would like to now introduce Madeline Ruprecht, Dance.NYC's communications coordinator, who will be sharing with us Dance.NYC's new mission statement, which was created as part of this strategic planning process.
Thank you, Marissa. My name is Madeline Ruprecht. I use she or they pronouns. I have white skin and brown hair that I'm wearing today in a low bun. And I am wearing a burgundy button-up jacket over top of a black t-shirt. Behind me are some white office walls. I am Dance.NYC's communications coordinator. Outside of Dance.NYC, I work as managing director of a contemporary dance company and freelance for other companies and festivals on both the administrative and production end of things. Dance.NYC's current mission reads as follows. Dance.NYC's mission is to promote the knowledge, appreciation, practice, and performance of dance in the metropolitan New York City area. It embeds values of justice, equity, and inclusion into all aspects of the organization. We are excited to share with you today our new mission, which was developed through this strategic planning process in a working group of board, staff, and leadership, which I was happy to be a part of. Our new mission reads as, Dance.NYC champions the New York City metropolitan area dance sector by fostering a more just, equitable, and inclusive landscape where dance workers and organizations can thrive. Rooted in research, Dance.NYC engages in advocacy, regranting, and knowledge sharing that works towards establishing dance as a valued form of cultural expression and a common good. Some important updates that we want to highlight for you today are noting that justice, equity, and inclusion are not only part of how we work, but are explicit outcomes of the work that we will strive to do. We also now specify the work that we do: research, advocacy, regranting, and knowledge sharing. All of these components of the mission have led us to the goals, outcomes, and impact that we will discuss further today. Sharing next about Dance.NYC's theory of change and how our mission and values will work in concert is Reshma Patel, Dance.NYC's board chair. Welcome, Reshma.
Thank you, Madeline. Hi, I'm Reshma Patel. I am a non-disabled, cisgendered South Asian woman wearing a black V-neck dress with a green tweed blazer on top. I have bluish green rectangular glasses on and a necklace with a little astronaut on it. I have brown skin and wavy black shoulder length hair. I use she, her pronouns and reside in what was formerly known as Lenape-Hoking, now Manhattan. I am a recovering investment banker turned community organizer and a wannabe dancer. I serve on Manhattan Community Board 6, where I am vice chair of the Budget and Governmental Affairs Committee, and I am a district leader in New York City's 74th Assembly District. My virtual background is bright orange with the Dance.NYC logo in white text on the top right corner. New York City's arts service organizations are in a transformative moment. Once acting only as behind-the-scenes support systems, they are now also pivotal leaders in shaping an equitable and sustainable future for the arts. This requires bold adaptation that centers equity and access, as well as strategic partnership that includes meaningful long-term investment from funders who recognize the unique value of this work. Dance.NYC's theory of change offers a purposeful roadmap for the next 5 years and beyond. This next slide shows the theory of change in a diagram with arrows leading from values to mission to goals to outcomes to impact. Grounded in the organization's values, the theory of change will drive every facet of the organization's mission, leading to meaningful field-level outcomes. Artists from historically disinvested communities are supported to work sustainably and free from discrimination. Well-informed dance workers become civically engaged and equipped with the resources they need. And the larger arts ecosystem grows more interconnected and attuned to the needs of the value of dance. These shifts lay the groundwork for profound transformation, one in which dance is recognized as a just, sustainable, and accessible cultural force, and dance workers are powerful contributors to public life that influence education, policy, and society as a whole.
Yes, I am reveling in that destination for this work of this org. And before we go on detailing how we'll go about doing it, I want to take a few moments to reflect on where we are now and how Dance.NYC's history supports and shapes this future by moving in our agenda to grow Dance.NYC's history leading to the present. We have pivotal folks from Dance.NYC's board and staff and programming to relate how they have experienced Dance.NYC's ability to refine and grow and strengthen. So joining us first to share about Dance.NYC's board of directors are Alyssa Hecker and Gina Paik.
Is this my turn?
Take it away, Alyssa.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Thank you so
Yes.
much, Sarah. My name is Alyssa Hecker, she, her. I'm the former chair of the board of directors from Dance.NYC. I'm a woman with light skin and brown shoulder length hair with a huge smile because I'm thrilled to be here today, zooming in from my office with an orange New Yorkers for Dance sign behind me. I've been involved with Dance.NYC since before its inception as an independent organization when it was a chapter of Dance USA. It's been both a professional and personal journey to be part of the growth of the organization, being intimately involved with dance workers through the pandemic, and I really look forward to seeing its growth under the strategic plan with redesigned leadership. Especially in this political and economic time, the arts are of paramount importance. Dance needs to not only be at the table, we also must remind those in power that dance makers are creative problem solvers, the salve to soothe and the revolutionaries to inspire. I truly believe that with the board and Reshma as its chair and the executive committee at the helm, it's made up of brilliant minds, good hearts, and strategic partners and planners who work only towards Dance.NYC's success. Really excited to see how the board, the staff, and incoming leadership work together to bring this organization to its next and hopefully most impactful chapter. I'd now love to pass the mic to current board member and one of my favorite people in the world, Gina Bake.
Thank you, Alyssa. Hi, everyone. My name is Gina Pake. I'm longtime board member and former treasurer of Dance.NYC. I'm an Asian woman with loose curly black hair, also with a big smile on my face like Alyssa, sitting against a white background. And I come here with a robust experience with Dance.NYC over the past 10 years, many of those years as treasurer and board member, and I'm coming in here into the crafting of this strategic plan, engaging how we balance our mission, our aspirations, and values with our resources. We have made some smart choices, taken calculated risks, and invested in the things we believe are worth investing in. So, for example, we've invested in ensuring our services and programs are as accessible to all abilities and identities, cultivating the growth and well-being of our staff, and maintaining our financial stability within our operations and our reserves. So the strategic plan is a way for us to refine and focus both our efforts and investments to make sure we're having the greatest impact, to ensure dance and dance workers are recognized for the creative force they are in New York City. So here, as we launch this strategic plan and build on our long-term leadership, Dance.NYC is poised to act with clarity and to focus its programming on promoting a dance ecosystem where dance workers and organizations will be validated and can make sure that dance remains the expression of creative freedom that really defines New York. So thank you so much for this opportunity to speak, and I'm going to now turn it back to Reshma and Sarah to share with us their experience of Dance.NYC's executive leadership.
Thank you, Gina and Alyssa. Dance.NYC, as many of you know, has a rich history of charismatic executive directors with big ideas and big plans. These efforts have been supported over the years by a small but deeply enthusiastic and dedicated staff. These efforts, the need for services from Dance.NYC and our responsibility to dance artists, workers, and organizations we serve has increased, most notably during the COVID-19 pandemic. This increase in need has meant that Dance.NYC has had to grow in order to increase our capacity for this work. In 2023, we launched a shared leadership pilot after extensive research by our Strategic Leadership Committee to explore and evaluate how best to strengthen Dance.NYC's long-term capacity, balanced with our commitment to a distributed leadership structure, ensuring we remain a trusted and sustainable resource for the field for years to come.
And as a result of that reflective and evaluative process Reshma just described, Dance.NYC is able to root a great deal of learning into the design of a two-person long-term leadership team with a clearly defined structure. Once we conclude our current search, our incoming executive director will report to the board and collaborate with them to hire a director of programming and operations to substantively support their organizational leadership together. Another important part of this evolution that I want to mention is Dance.NYC is at a point now where we have leadership embodied at every level of the staff. The expertise and the autonomy that Dance.NYC staff members bring to their work at this moment creates one of the strongest foundations I think this organization has ever had. And through my own journey from Director of Operations and Finance to co-executive director to now interim executive director, I've had the immense privilege, which I do not say as an exaggeration, of not only hiring many of these folks, but also getting to work more and more closely with them. And through that, my admiration has only grown. So I'm happy to pass the mic now to learn more about that staff evolution directly from past and present members of the team, Peter Alfred Elizalde and Monica Steffi.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Peter Alfred Elizalde, and I am currently using the they, them, and theirs set of pronouns, but ask me tomorrow and I might say something different. I am a dance artist, choreographer, DJ, and nightlife aficionado and professional. In addition to the many hats that I wear, I am also the director of programs at New Yorkers for Culture and Arts. We are a nonprofit advocacy organization and coalition comprised of individual artists, cultural workers, arts administrators, both in the for-profit and nonprofit sectors, working together to build a more just and equitable cultural ecosystem in the 5 boroughs. I'll provide a brief visual description. I am a light brown skinned Filipino slash Filipina slash Philippine X question mark gender questioning, not visibly disabled person. I have meticulously and beautifully styled eyebrows and facial hair that are sharp and could cut diamonds. My short black hair is pushed forward into a messy bang, and I am rocking a fresh fade right now. And I have a light brown hoodie featuring global pop superstar Britney Spears and a blurred background behind me. I have had the pleasure of following the evolution of Dance.NYC through many eras over the years. I began my time at Dance.NYC back in 2017 as the communications assistant, while Lane Harwell was the executive director. This was my first job right after graduating college, and also my first time working as an arts administrator in a nonprofit organization. I was part-time at Dance.NYC at the time and eventually transitioned out. But in 2020, when the pandemic struck and I was left without work, I was very fortunate to be rehired into a role full-time by the new executive director, Alejandra Duque Cifuentes. I felt, to some degree, rescued by Dance.NYC and was able to pay that forward by helping the organization administer emergency relief funds to the dance community at such a critical moment. I've witnessed the organization grow and change, and the organization has helped me continue to grow and change as well. Dance.NYC was the first organization where I really dove deep into conversations surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion, particularly in the areas of racial justice, accessibility, and protecting immigrant communities. Dance.NYC takes things a step further by naming justice, equity, and inclusion as their priorities, moving beyond just diversity and working to make material change right now as our sector is hurting. In this politically challenging moment, with retreats in funding and changes in priorities from both national government agencies and local philanthropic orgs, I have witnessed both groups. I've witnessed other groups start to hide their DEI-related work out of fear of losing their funding. This is not true with Dance.NYC. Dance.NYC has continued to stand on business and is, in my eyes, leading with audacity and bravery by staying firm in their commitments to justice, equity, and inclusion. And it is this bravery that continues to inspire me as an arts worker and community advocate. Dance.NYC provided me with frameworks that I still refer to in my ongoing advocacy and work as a cultural worker at New Yorkers for Culture and Arts, in my daily life, and beyond. I'm so thankful to have spent time on the Dance.NYC staff and so happy to see all of you again. And I'm also so grateful that I keep getting invited to be in community with you all. So thank you very much, and I'll pass it over now to Monica.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monica Steffi. I use she, they pronouns. I am a queer, light-skinned person with brown hair. Today, I'm wearing large gold hoop earrings, a baby blue shirt, and a yellow and blue striped blazer, and I'm sitting in front of a paneled white office background. I'm also a mover, artist, and community activist, creating work around bodily autonomy and choice. This greatly informs the work that I do in terms of human resources and admin as Dance.NYC's operations manager. In many nonprofit structures, there is a tension between the needs of staff wellness and our external work. And at Dance.NYC, many of our staff members are also our constituents as dance artists and workers themselves. So this tension can be particularly resonant. We can be really, really good at helping others while being sometimes the last ones to serve ourselves. We don't always practice what we preach in that sense. And these are patterns that don't create sustainability in the workplace and can greatly lead to staff burnout. At Dance.NYC, we have been grappling with these questions in hopes of addressing this problem. Last year, I had the opportunity to be a part of nonprofit New York's Learning Communities cohort of HR professionals, where we discussed at length what creates a sustainable internal organizational structure and how to lead with staff wellness as well as efficiency. These ideas didn't just stay in the working group, but continued into our own conversations with staff and informed the strategic plan. This is an example of an evolution in the way that Dance.NYC approaches staff professional development. Not only is professional development a way for staff to grow in their roles, but the learning can and should have an impact on the organization itself. I'm really, really excited for this strategic plan because staff wellness is actually in it in a tangible way. Our wellness should not be collateral for the work that we do and the folks that we serve. We are considering real things like staff paid time off and how we balance our workloads and schedules. We don't want these things to just be buzzwords, but action, so that our work becomes more sustainable and more enjoyable for the long term. I am galvanized for this iteration of Dance.NYC into the next 5 years and beyond. I would now like to pass this along to Virginia Johnson and Nia Nicholson, who will be presenting on the impact of Dance.NYC's programming.
Thank you, Monica, and good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm a light-skinned Black woman with curly dark hair, wearing a gray top and silver earrings in front of a blue background. I'm proud to be on the Dance.NYC Advisory Committee. Thank you for this opportunity to reflect on the role of this important organization to the dance workers of this city. When I came to New York in 1968, it was to dance, and one way or another, almost 60 years later, dance has been my life ever since. In the early days of my career, there was no Dance.NYC. Back then, all a dancer had to rely on for their well-being was the luck of a job and personal resilience. We had no platform and no power to affect change. Observing the emergence of Dance.NYC and its evolution over the past 20+ years continually renews the respect I have for dancers and the community their existence creates. Dancers are strong, caring individuals who are ready to show up for each other and make a difference, not only for ourselves, but for everyone. We, as dance artists and workers, have been taken for granted for far too long. Dance.NYC is paying attention, addressing our needs, and is poised to take action to preserve the dignity and rights of dancers of all genres who are the extraordinary heartbeat of the arts in this city. I am now very happy to pass the mic to Nia Nicholson, Executive Director of Move NYC.
Thank you, Virginia, for your inspiring remarks about our beloved Dance.NYC and how they continue to show up for dancers and the dance community at large. Hi, everyone. My name is Nia Nicholson, and I am Executive Director at Move NYC. I use she, her pronouns, and I can be described as a brown-skinned Black woman with red hair, and I'm wearing a teal and red embellished long sleeve top today. Wow, wow, wow. What a full circle moment, y'all, as my leadership career was incubated right here with Dance.NYC beginning in 2016. That was the year I joined their Dance.NYC Junior Committee. I then co-led the committee in 2017 and was afforded leadership and presenting opportunities as part of their inaugural symposium committee and ad hoc committee on sexual harassment. Fast forward to 2024, I had an enjoyable and insightful experience as the program consultant for Dance.NYC's 4th Dance Advancement Fund. In collaboration with Dance.NYC's lean but mighty team, I supported the program's development and led webinars and one-on-one technical assistance for applicants. Together, we awarded nearly 30 grants to dance-making organizations and groups. What became unequivocally clear through the process is that the Dance Advancement Fund fills a major gap in grant opportunities for artists and organizations with smaller budgets and staff capacity. It is a critical launching pad for artists and organizations, especially for folks who are just getting their bearings and need ready guidance, professional development, and financial resources to take them to the next level. I'd like to thank Dance.NYC for your dedication to us, the dance community, and for understanding, believing, and empowering arts workers and leaders just like me to dream big with intention and to pay it forward for the betterment of our fields. I will now pass it back to Sarah Rohr and Reshma Patel.
Thank you, all of you, for illuminating these pieces of Dance.NYC's history so beautifully, from defining to refining ourselves as an organization. As we move to amplify strategic plan introduction and exploration, I will remind us that at its heart, Dance.NYC centers the needs of individual dance workers because they are statistically the most likely to face low job pay, job insecurity, and systemic exclusion. So we provide advocacy, funding, research, and practical information that empowers dance workers' professional lives and expands their agency in shaping the field. We also take an ecosystemic approach that prioritizes people while also mobilizing organizations with training and data and resources toward more equitable conditions.
Dance.NYC has made a strategic decision to prioritize key pillars of its work, such as research, advocacy, regranting, and knowledge sharing. While scaling back in other areas, the organization is reimagining how it brings the field together, hosting more concentrated convenings rooted in data and policy, and amplifying the work of partner organizations. These shifts in focus allow Dance.NYC to remain responsive and sustainable while also deepening its programmatic impact.
And to achieve that impact, we present the 5 goals of our strategic plan with an imaginary drum roll happening. 1 is amplify the public value of dance. On this slide, there's a dancer with arms outstretched and a hat covering their face. 2, activate dance workers as agents of change. This slide has an image of 3 people holding an "I got counted" sign as part of the dance industry census. 3, refine Dance.NYC's equity and access-driven service to the NYC metropolitan area dance sector. This slide shows an image of 2 people seated and smiling at a Dance.NYC event. 4, grow Dance.NYC's long-term financial sustainability. This slide shows 2 people seated, leaning toward one another, applauding, one of whom is Gina Paik, who you saw earlier. 5, strengthen organizational capacity and well-being. This slide shows a Dance.NYC circle of symposium attendees with their arms stretched up over their heads.
You may recognize the seeds of these 5 goals from what we have covered so far today. From our own agenda for today's event to the reflections from our various presenters, and importantly, our internal goals of financial sustainability and organizational well-being are the foundation that makes the external goals possible, providing the stability, capacity, and resilience needed for Dance.NYC to deliver on its commitments to the field.
And to dive a little deeper, we will welcome the first of our 2 guest presenters, Eddie Torres, President and CEO of Grantmakers in the Arts. Welcome, Eddie.
Thank you so much. It's a real honor to be here, and I am so grateful to be in your company. I'm Eddie Torres. I use all pronouns. I'm joining this call today from the unceded land of Lenape-Hoking here in Queens, New York. I am perceived as male with all of the unearned privilege that accompanies that perception. I'm also perceived as non-disabled. I am an English speaker, a citizen, and a member of the middle class. I am old. I have brown skin, dark hair and eyes, a white beard. I'm wearing glasses and a dark blazer. Currently, I serve as the president and CEO of Grantmakers in the Arts, the only national association of both public and private arts and culture funders in the U.S. I've been in touch with Dance.NYC's work for 15 years, beginning when Lane Harwell was the executive director. I'm excited to be here today with you all to engage with two goals of Dance.NYC's strategic plan: amplify the public value of dance and activate dance workers as agents of change. In our time together, I'll share with you some of the rationale behind each of these goals, some of the key strategies Dance.NYC will pursue to bring about these goals, and ways in which I understand these goals connecting to our larger dance and arts ecosystem. Goal number 1, amplify the public value of dance. This goal is all about Dance.NYC's leveraging its influence to increase understanding, respect, and funding of dance. To do this effectively, Dance.NYC must strengthen external understanding of who they are and what they do, clarify its advocacy positions and messaging about them, and engage more deeply in strategic partnerships. This goal will guide Dance.NYC's leadership in delivering relevant and real advocacy that drives systems-level change with folks from historically disinvested identities at the center. In order to achieve this goal, Dance.NYC plans to leverage institutional relationships and Dance.NYC's positional influence to advance policies and campaigns that improve working and living conditions for dance workers. Influence public and philanthropic funding for dance and dance education with a focus on historically disinvested communities. Strengthen cross-sector advocacy partnerships to maximize collective impact so that together we can amplify public awareness of dance's value, diversity, and viability as a profession. Dance.NYC is uniquely positioned to pursue this work because as an organization, they are operating in multiple rooms as a critical bridge between artists, policymakers, and funders. At Grantmakers in the Arts, we appreciate how Dance.NYC represents individual artists, intermediaries that support artists, and advocates for the material needs of dance artists and workers. I have been in rooms with Dance.NYC and Grantmakers witnessing firsthand their commitment to this work through their conference, nonprofit financial health trainings through Grantmakers in the Arts, and most recently with meetings of our Grantmaker members. Dance.NYC has also been impactful in centering the perspectives of dancers and people with disabilities, supporting both individuals and being an advocate for change in the field. On a personal note, I've learned a lot from Dance.NYC about accessibility and disability justice. This has included how they design their public events in consideration of people with disabilities' needs, their research on and advocacy for the needs of dancers with disabilities, as well as their public education on and advocacy for disability as an aesthetic force in dance. Now next, goal number 2, activate dance workers as agents of change. As part of Dance.NYC's strategic planning process and conversations with staff and community members, a clear mandate for the work ahead emerged: center the needs and power of dance workers. While Dance.NYC is widely perceived as having a deep engagement with and focus on individual dance workers, that reputation can sometimes outpace what they have the current capacity to deliver on. This acknowledgement of this gap presents Dance.NYC with a powerful and timely opportunity to both deepen and strengthen engagement with individual dance workers. By expanding access to tools for self-advocacy and organizing, Dance.NYC can foster greater autonomy, resilience, and community-driven change across our sector. Some specific strategies that Dance.NYC will engage for this goal are to mobilize constituents to join or co-create campaigns that advance policies to improve working and living conditions for dance workers. Embed dance workers in civic, cultural, and institutional decision-making processes by increasing civic participation, and deepen engagement with curated tools and information to support self-advocacy. because a civically engaged base of dance workers is essential to realizing a just, thriving dance ecosystem. I'm excited for this specific goal because this is the moment for artists to publicly align themselves with workers and other vulnerable residents of this nation who deserve guaranteed income, universal health care, and portable benefits like retirement and paid time off. Now, a futurist recently explained to me that at moments of great change, we should consider the possibility of two extremes for change. She cited that now, a time when healthcare is under attack by this federal regime, could be the moment that this nation's residents successfully advocate for universal healthcare. And we deserve to be paid. As we take in all that is around us and recognize all that we're up against, this is the most important moment for us to come together to support artists as workers. To do this, we need intermediaries like Dance.NYC that support artists and that advocate for artists and other workers. As we vision toward this future for Dance.NYC, this is a critical moment for us as a field to come together in our advocacy and our creativity. So thank you for letting me do this with you, and I am now happy to pass this off to Kelly. Kelly?
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you so much for your words and your framing and your offerings and your call to action for each of us. Hello again. I am very happy to be sharing with you and reflecting on Goal 3 of the strategic plan. Goal 3 is refine Dance.NYC's equity and access-driven service to the New York City metropolitan area dance sector. As we have been learning today, Dance.NYC has been working to clarify its core services, articulate clear values, and honor the need to maximize both resources and organizational capacity. Through this process of refining, Dance.NYC will be able to amplify its impact through a rigorous and thoughtful equity and accessibility lens. The interconnected nature of Dance.NYC's programs and our interconnected nature with each other will be key. Some of the key strategies that Dance.NYC will engage to bring about this goal are: number one, produce and publicize research that advances the needs of dance workers. Number two, align convening and technological projects as supports for advocacy and research priorities. Number three, fairly distribute funding to address economic inequity for historically disinvested dance workers and organizations. And number four, deepen justice, equity, and inclusion and accessibility learning and practice across all programs. Goal number 3 of Dance.NYC's plan, again, refine Dance.NYC's equity and access-driven service to New York City metropolitan area dance sector, resonated with me because of its responsiveness to our ever-changing landscape. The need to deepen advocacy may be at the forefront of our activism and research initiatives, and the community must be a part of it as well. Having led a national service organization, I believe one of the most persistent misconceptions as to what service to an ecosystem or a sector is that it is a one-way street. It must be two ways, and therefore it is important for the New York City dance community to really get involved. And if you already are, amazing, high five to you. Deepen your commitment and remain involved. As artists, we can participate in research, show up at City Hall, and be a part of advocacy and activism on the ground. We must be activated. We must be consistent in our activation, and we must do it together. The unity of our community is what will help sustain us. Our community is our strength and our power. We need to embrace this opportunity and moment for change. For example, Dance.NYC has been known for the symposium, and people love it for a good reason. But as our world is evolving, we need to shed notions of what service has to be so that we can embrace the needs of right now and our current reality. As artists, and I do consider myself to be one, we may not always be rooted in right now or reality. We want to dream and think big and boldly and imagine what is not yet true. We need this boldness. This boldness is our truth. And yet, this boldness also needs to be balanced with the reality in which we are operating. We need to look inward and recognize that the performing arts sector, what has been may not always be what we need now. I believe that if we can embrace this notion, the sensibility of shedding, we can collectively push boundaries and dismantle structures that seek to oppress. And we cannot do it alone. We must do it as a collective. As I wrap up my reflections of goal number 3, I am reminded of the wise words of Julie Nakagawa, co-founder and artistic director of Dance Work Chicago, and someone who I am humbled to call a mentor and friend. In order to get to what's next, you must nurture what's now. So, I'm going to keep us moving forward. And as we begin to wrap up our time today, we would like to offer another opportunity to reflect on the content we've engaged in together and to get back into our bodies and our creative selves. Consider, what do you need to shed? What do you need to release? And what are you imagining as part of a new New York City dance ecosystem? I would like to invite you to close your eyes if you feel safe in doing so. And if not, just simply soften your gaze and take a deep breath in and slowly exhale for 5. And as you do so, consider, what type of dance ecosystem in New York City are you dreaming about? And how do you see yourself a part of it? Now take another deep breath and slowly exhale for 8. And as you do so, consider one word that reflects that dream state that you have just conjured. Please add that word to the chat. Linked, radiate, welcoming, expansive, action. Joy-centered, vibrant, abundance, possible, powerful. Thank you so much. Please continue adding your words to the chat. And as you do so, I am going to introduce, and it is my pleasure to introduce Hastings Hill, Dance.NYC's Senior Manager of Communications.
Thank you, Kelly. Hi, everyone. My name is Hastings Hill, and I am Dance.NYC's Senior Manager of Communications. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a Black woman with chocolate brown skin, and my dark brown, almost black hair is currently wrapped in my signature golden yellow scarf. I am wearing a denim blue shirt, and I am seated in front of a white, slightly blurred background. Though I no longer perform, dance remains at the root of my identity and continues to guide my professional journey as an administrator. I view myself as a consummate creative, a communicator, and a cultural witness, committed to telling stories and building platforms that honor the artistry and resilience of the field. We are now moving into the final part of our agenda: strengthen, send off, and community commitments. A recording of today's convening will be available soon on our YouTube channel. But in the meantime, you can actually explore the full plan online at dance.nyc/strategicplan. But before you do that, we would love your feedback on today's event. Your responses will help us to understand how this gathering has resonated with you, how we can improve future ones, and how Dance.NYC's strategic plan can better support the needs of you, our community. The survey should take no more than 10 minutes to complete and is a direct part of the data and the research that Dance.NYC is committed to providing, and that so many of us gathered here today value and need. So please help us help you and fill out the survey. You'll now find the survey link in the chat, and you can also scan the QR code on the screen to access it. Thank you again for taking the time to share your thoughts and help us move this work forward together. And as we conclude our time together, I'd like to welcome back Sarah Rohr for one final time to close us out.
Thank you, Hastings, and cultural witness, TM, TM, TM. I love that phrase. In our final moments together, I'll acknowledge the team that made this event possible, including so many folks, past and present, Dance.NYC staff, board of directors, our incredible guides at Penn Creative Strategy, and all of our wonderful presenters. And of course, all of you who showed up to listen to us, our amazing community of dance artists and workers and colleagues from peer organizations, elected officials and representatives, and funders, without whom this work simply would not exist. In particular, on that note, I should mention today's convening was underwritten in part by funding from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts. Whether you've been in our orbit for a long time, or maybe you're just meeting us today, I want to reaffirm our commitment of service to you. We've heard from many of our presenters today, and I'll say it again, this community is at the heart of all that we do. So now, guided with our refreshed mission, our new values, and our belief in what is possible when we connect with one another, Dance.NYC is excited to embark on these next 5 years of our collective move into the future. So thank you so much, and we hope to be in community with you again soon. Bye for now.